Well, hey there everybody, Kay here on my homestead. I haven't done one of these in a month or so why don't you grab a cup of tea or coffee? In my case, cacao with raw honey and pine needle tea. And join me. I've got a few things to tell you. If you're new here, I live on a little over 9 acres in Tennessee after being an urban gardener in LA, starting my channel there in 2012. So I'm in my 12th year on YouTube, and what a ride it's been. And I want to give a huge shout out, number one, to the people that have followed me the whole time. That would be incredible. Usually people go away and come back and so forth, but anybody that's followed me all the way, I want to give a huge thank you to, and also a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon. I'm just so grateful for everyone's support of this channel. I've worked very, very hard for 12 years. I've sacrificed a great deal to bring you the majority of which has been garden information, sharing public and private gardens of other people, because I always felt, I have this tiny garden in LA and, I can only talk about so much. And so I would spend my own money and go around and visit people and bring those gardens into your computer so you could see for yourself without getting on an airplane. So I have a lot of travel videos that I did. I've kind of stopped doing that now because things have really changed since I left and came here. And I took on much more than I can really handle here, which has been proven to me over and over. And I am going to be making some changes, which I can talk about later. But I want to welcome everyone who's new, and I hope you subscribe. Once in a while we sit down and have a chat with a cup of something or other. And this is one of those. I have been going through the completion of my mother's life for so long now. It's just hard to believe. I did a video on September 29th. I looked back and that's almost 2 months ago. And I said, it was a Sunday and I thought I was going over to say goodbye that day. And now it's been 2 months and she's not eating food. She hasn't had any food in I don't know, a few days, and it's hard to say, it's all pureed anyway, and so if she takes a little teaspoon of it, do you call that eating? I don't. So anyway, she just had a very little something to drink yesterday, and by drink I mean teaspoons of liquid. Very reluctantly, I stayed home today because I've been on the road. It's 90 minutes each way, and I've been on the road for the last 3-4 days, and I'm exhausted. Of course, when I'm here, though, I don't sit around and relax. I work. And so this morning, I was up and I set up another half gallon of last of my orange Thai chilies that they had been in the refrigerator for 3 or 4 days. I should have done it the day I brought them in. It's been so hard just doing things and then leaving and being gone all day and sitting. Oh my gosh, all the sitting I've done has just wrecked my colon. So I'm working on that, trying to get that better. So much sitting because I sit on the 90 minutes each way. That's 3 hours a day. And then when I go there, I just sit beside her bed and I'm kind of leaning this way towards her. And so my back is all wrenched on this side. It's been challenging, but I just kept hoping I could be with her when she passed. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I asked my brother who lives close if he was going to see her today, if he's going to go by, and if he was, then I was going to stay home. Maybe tomorrow. And I don't have Thanksgiving plans. I was invited, but I am going to stay with my mother. So that is the update on my mother. Now, I listened to a podcast, which I've mentioned before, Bards FM, and we have started, I say we because the people that regularly listen have become known as Bards Nation. Scott Kesterson does at least 2 podcasts a day. I don't know how he does it. He's also got a farm. He's on his own. He's got a farm. All this he's done since I've been listening. In the last 4 years, he bought a farm. He went and learned animal husbandry. He learned butchering. He bought cows. He worked with people to understand about cows, and so now he's raising cows, mom calf operation, on about 80 acres in Oregon. And then in this, I think it was earlier this year, that he got 2 guardian dogs, and he did a great podcast with a guardian dog trainer. I really enjoyed that podcast. One of the things that has developed over the course of the 5 years of this podcast is, seeing the need, meeting the need. And so many people, of course, over the last 4 years have had questions about doctors and hospitals and treatments, and people have, kind of really woken up to the fact that our medical establishment is not necessarily geared. They don't make money if we get well, okay? That's just obvious. We now have, in addition to these, to the emphasis on health on our Sunday night podcast, we have a store of nutritional supplements. And this is all new. I mean, it just rolled out in the last month, I think. So in conjunction with that, he played a speech by Dr. Joel Wallach. This man was speaking and writing books 20 years ago when I needed help with a son with asthma and a son with ADD. My sister who had fibromyalgia, and then of course my mother's dementia began, and he covered all of these things, and he talked about why so many athletes, and this was before the last 4 years, but there were so many athletes that didn't realize their potential, and he has the belief that the human body has the capacity to live to 100. If there's, God forbid, no accident or natural disaster, our health can be good enough to live to 100. First, he became a veterinarian, and so he learned all about that, and then he did years of autopsies of animals and then humans, about, I forget how many animals, a lot, but then I think there were 3,000 human autopsies. And so he really had studied disease and the whole thing. You can look into it. Please do your own research. But I was just amazed because it all boils down to nutritional deficiencies. And before I even finished the first podcast, I went and bought this. I already have the same company that makes colloidal silver. And he was talking about, injuries to your tissues and bones as a result of a deficiency in copper. And I'm going, copper? I take vitamin D, especially after the last 4 years. They made it very, very clear that if vitamin D levels had been up during the last 4 years, hardly anybody would have gotten the virus. But anyway, of course I take vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin B12, essential iodine, and then I take zinc and quercetin as needed. So I don't take a multivitamin, but everybody needs these 90 essential nutrients. So if you look him up, and I thought, Scott said that he was lambasted, censored. Censored is more of a new term, but 20 years ago, doctors absolutely hated him because he said, now if you get on, let's see, what disease was it? I think he was talking about diabetes, but don't quote me. I'm going to post the link to the 2 podcasts underneath this video, and you can listen for yourself and make your own decisions, do your own research. But he was saying you could pay a $30 copay to go to a doctor visit, and if the doctor would tell you're lacking such and such nutrient, and you corrected your condition, then the doctor would not benefit from the patient's payout over time of something like $730,000. Now, what doctor is going to turn down $730,000 over, a period of a couple decades, I guess, for $30? So think about that, and also pediatricians today. If babies and children are on the full schedule of shots, it could mean $100,000 to the office. And so many pediatricians, I've heard, do your own research, are saying you need to find another doctor if you want to be selective or if you want to avoid those. So you can see why why the medical profession wasn't necessarily thrilled with him. Although I was surprised just by doing a search. I'm on Brave browser, but I thought, let me just look at Google. I did look at Chrome, and it had all the basic stuff. He's an author, he's a doctor, a veterinarian, an author, and a speaker, essentially. But he's done so much more, and he's considered one of the fathers of epigenetics, which I was so into health back because I had a child with asthma, and it, oh my goodness, and I was into raw food. We ate a lot of raw dairy. We had access to cream and butter and milk and that hadn't been done anything to. Just meat and vegetables and dairy and eggs. And that's what he says. If everybody ate 2 eggs a day, the whole cholesterol thing is the whole, you can't have salt or your blood pressure will go high. He goes deeply into that in that first lecture and talks about, which, I didn't know. I have been taking Celtic sea salt since people introduced me to Barbara O'Neill after my kneecap break last year. And so she talks about the minerals in Celtic sea salt. There's like 82 minerals in Celtic sea salt. And pink Himalayan is less, and everything else is less. But that's the best. Actually, I found it hard to get. And I don't know about the supply right now, but this was last year, so I stocked up. Anyway, it's all very interesting that if we had the right nutrients, we could avoid disease and live longer, and maybe avoid accidents. Like right now, my former athlete's son, Walker, has a torn meniscus. If he had a good supply of copper in his system, would it have failed? Would he have torn that? I don't know. We'll never know now. And now it most likely has to be surgically fixed. He talks about Alzheimer's. He talks about a lot of different things. Now, in these speeches, you have to remember he gave these 20 years ago. And so none of what's happened in the last 5 years are factored in, but I wanted to bring it to your attention because you may have health problems that could be corrected by a nutrient that's missing. They're certainly missing in our food, even organic food. And so we have to take the supplements. So fantastically, in our new Bard's Nation Health site, we're carrying a supplement that it's called 90 to Life. it has all the 90 essential nutrients. And so I literally am bringing you this information minutes after I've made this discovery. Another thing we're doing is, Bard's Nation is helping with the relief in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina, which they're saying now could be the worst disaster in the United States. It's fallen out of the news. Everybody's interested in politics, and I get it, but the people over there are still intense, and it's getting cold. And so there's a woman named Lee Brown. She was a realtor, and the reason I know about her is because he had her on the podcast. And she converted her real estate agency to a relief agency. And she is all about serving the people and helping. And she has found a way around, because she knows real estate. And the problem now over there is, even though the Amish came and built all of these tiny homes, they wouldn't permit them. They wouldn't let people live in them because they weren't permitted. She has figured something out as a way to get people in an insulated shed, which is much better than a tent, because a shed will keep out bears and snakes. I don't think the snakes are going to be out. It's going to be too cold. But she did mention that. So we are doing I say we. The people who are instrumental in doing all these things. I'm not one. I just listen to the podcast and I donate where I can. I took a few things up to the revival. We had so many donations that they didn't have a truck big enough. And so they had to go get another big trailer truck. I don't know what it was. And all the stuff was organized, and I'm terrible at that. If you could see my house. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I didn't have to do that. But anyway, they were taking this whole huge load to Boone, North Carolina, and they had an accident, and the jackknifed or something, and oh goodness, the driver, the two people delivering the stuff was fine. All of the stuff was fine, but it cost like $3,000 or $4,000 of damage with the hitch, and they had to be towed and all of that. But they got it there, and it was fantastic. So I'm going to leave all of this underneath the video, and if you want to look into it, that's great. But all of the sales, all the proceeds, not just the profit, all of the proceeds of the 90 to Life and the other health supplements on the website, all the sales on Friday, all of that money is going to go to the Western North Carolina Relief, her outfit that she's created, Lee Brown, Leigh Brown, and I think it's called Relief. Well, I'll put the link underneath. If you have a few dollars to help the people that are still very much struggling, that would be fantastic. And also, I hope that this information has been helpful to you to get you to think about, okay, I've got this problem. I mean, he talked about every disease you could think of in these two lectures, from cancer to Alzheimer's, to fibromyalgia, to asthma. He said, oh, that's the easiest one. I'm going, oh, really? Magnesium, manganese, and essential fatty acids. Those are the three that are missing. And he was saying you need to hang on to your inhaler for emergencies, in case you have one. But these three nutrients are what is going to help correct that condition. And since my son, I had his condition corrected. He didn't have, from 10 years old until 20 years old, he didn't have an asthma attack. And he was staying in the fraternity house at Stanford. And I think between the old carpet and the mattresses, I don't know, who knows, or just you get run down, you've got finals. I mean, there's all these things. and he wound up having an asthma attack and had to have an emergency visit, you know. And now he suffers on occasion. So I want to make sure that he is starting to take manganese, magnesium, and essential fatty acids. So I hope this is helpful. This is where I'm at. I'm home today trying to just rest up a little bit. I'll be going back over tomorrow if she's still with us. And I'm not sure why she's still with us. She's my mother, she's so it's hard to talk about it, but blind, she can't talk, she can't move her body, she's skin and bones, she's atrophied. But I'm just leaving it up to God. So that's where things stand the day before Thanksgiving, and I want to welcome every new person. Thank you so much for all of your support of this channel. I am going to be making some changes, so the one thing I would like you to do, if you would please do this, if you're still with me at the end of this video here, I would like you to go to www.latebloomershow.com, and when you get the pop-up, just put in your address. It would be nice to have your name, but if you just put in your email address and join the mailing list, then you can be notified of the changes. Wonderful Mary at Mary's Nest is helping me. She's given me some things to consider, things to do, good recommendations, and I'm going to attempt to do all those as soon as I can totally focus on that. But I have contracted for a new website because my website now is 10 years old and I haven't made any changes. And so I am going to start operating my website like Mary. I don't have a book to sell, but by doing it the way she does it, I can ensure that people who are interested in my channel are actually getting notified, because that's not happening necessarily by YouTube. Several people have told me I haven't gotten notifications, and so by having your email address, which will only be one email a week unless there's something really big happening, I will be sending out an email for each video. And through the summer, this is winter coming up. Through the winter, I am going to just be putting up one video per week with an accompanying blog. Now, I did this religiously when I started my channel because I only did 2 short videos a month. But, you know, when that increased in 2016 to as many as you could cram in, you know, all the blog just went by the wayside. And the last blog I've written, I'm ashamed to say, was in 2020 when I first got here. Could have been the very beginning of 2021. And so that has to be rectified. I have to resurrect my website because it cost me a fortune, so I might as well get some good out of it, right? So please go there and subscribe. And I promise it will only be, the main reason will be just to notify you that I've uploaded a video. And I am going to be cutting back to 1 per week with an emphasis on how to do things. Because just, you know, me doing how are things going for Kaye here on the homestead, I haven't been able to build a big audience for that. I mean, I thought it was possible, but it's just evidently not with all the things that are going on in the world. Too many things attracting attention. So I've talked long enough. I hope you will subscribe to my channel, obviously, and my website. So if you go there now, you'll see the old website. That will still be up while the new one is being developed. And then there will be a seamless transition between the two. And it'll be very simple and hopefully very informative and helpful. Now, it's Thanksgiving, so don't forget, I have boiled custard, my mother's old-fashioned boiled custard recipe video. And I just put that link on my community page, and also her, again, my mother's recipe, her sweet potato casserole. She called it sweet potato souffle. And it's very similar to your basic sweet potato casserole. And I've got a lot of other recipes on there. So just check them out. Maybe you might be able to whip something up for tomorrow. You know, after my mother gets on her journey, which I'm really looking forward to, I will be able to spend the winter getting organized and rebuilding my website and hopefully doing a better job with my channel. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. God bless.